class, I'm Emily Hardigate, and this is my case study on technology ethics about autonomous vehicles. The contemporary ethical issue I will be acknowledging today are: should fully autonomous vehicle engineers be held liable for any car accidents that involve their vehicle? We'll start off by giving you guys some important terms to know. First one being fully autonomous vehicles, which is a vehicle that contains sensors and software that allow them to drive themselves. Semi-autonomous can control some driving actions, but these vehicles still require human assistance. Vehicle engineers and manufacturers are any and all people who have helped build and create the vehicle. Autonomous is referring to having the ability to control or lead itself. LIDR is light detection and ranging. Control principle is one must be under control in order to be held morally accountable. AV is autonomous vehicle. PAP is principle of alternative responsibilities, and moral responsibility is what one should be morally held responsible for what they believe is right or wrong. Now for some brief history on autonomous vehicles. There's autonomous vehicles of all kinds, and they have raised various ethical problems. These vehicles have been placed in various levels from level 0 to 4, 0 being no automation, which means still needs complete human control, all the way to level 4, which is completely autonomous and needs no human assistance. Technology is continuously advancing, which leads to continuous new issues arising. It has been shown that humans cause most, if not all, accidents that have occurred on the road, so by creating autonomous vehicles that create no human assistance, this may minimize accidents but not prevent them completely. So it has been debated on who should actually be held accountable for when an accident does occur. This ethical issue brings up a lot of different perspectives. The first one being that the engineers and creators should be held accountable because they created, built, and designed the car. The second being that the vehicle itself should be held liable because now the car is one in itself and is now under control of any and all situation it is put in front of. The last one is that the human vehicle owner should be held accountable because they made the conscious decision to purchase the vehicle and ride within it. Therefore, they should be liable for any accidents that occur with their vehicle. For some values, we have the value of safety because it is important on both ends, the human feeling safe within the vehicle and the engineer ensuring the safety of the passenger within the autonomous vehicle. Then we have trust in the car driving you, and transparency, making sure one is entirely aware of what software is in their vehicle and of any malfunctions that may occur in the future. The ethical issue has various decision makers and stakeholders. For decision makers, those are manufacturers and engineers, dealerships, government and lawmakers, funding companies, auto body and mechanic shops, insurance companies, and software companies. The stakeholders are human vehicle owners, passengers, pedestrians, family of anyone involved in the accident, and the driver, or the person behind the driver's side, which may not be the owner. When trying to determine who should be held liable for an autonomous vehicle accident, we encounter the dilemma of safety. The consequence is the most important aspect. Can one truly be safe behind the wall of a car that has been designed and manufactured to drive itself? If in an accident, we must believe that the car will do everything in its power to protect its passengers by crashing in a way that will cause minimum impact. This then leads into the issue of trust, that if in a car accident, will the car accident result in the least amount of damage and the most amount of happiness, which is utilitarianism. If put in a situation where the car has to choose between hitting a pedestrian or a wall, will the car choose to save the one pedestrian or the passenger within the vehicle? In my case study, I will be arguing that when put in the eyes of utilitarianism, the car must choose a scenario that will save the passengers, causing minimum damage and making the most people happy, or saving the largest amount of people. There will be dilemmas of malfunction and transparency. The car may very well malfunction just like any piece of technology. Here, the engineers, manufacturers, and dealerships should all be extremely transparent. Buyers should be 100% aware that the car has a possibility of running into error. Because it is a software system that is powered by battery, which can malfunction due to old age, heat exposure, water damage, wire disconnection, or even weather conditions that degrade the software. Any possibility of the car failing and leading to extreme damage should all be laid out and stated to the buyers of any and all cars in order to make the owner aware of what's at stake. One extremely important dilemma is engineers ensuring that the vehicle is built to meet the performance requirements, as it is their obligation in the eyes of deontology. The engineer should perform various testing and analysis to allow them to defend the safetiness of their car, so not only the passengers feel safe, but those surrounding the car itself, whether that's pedestrians, other cars, both empty and containing passengers. In my case study, I will be defending the ethical issue that car manufacturers and engineers should be the ones held accountable for any car accidents that include their autonomous vehicles. The first reason behind that is the idea that because it is an entirely autonomous vehicle, meaning no human control necessary or allowed, the way the car reacts in an accident is all due to the software that engineers have placed within the vehicle. An article by authors Fernando Aguilar, Ivar Hannikainen, and Pilar Aguilar state, according to the control principle, an agent can only be morally responsible for actions over which they have control. Within the article, they describe that when given a semi-autonomous vehicle, the human is still and can still be under control, then resulting in possible human fault because the vehicle still requires human assistance. But in a fully autonomous vehicle, the authors state, occupants play practically no role in the vehicle's driving decisions. Second reason I believe that the car engineers and manufacturers should be held liable for car accidents their vehicles take part in is because, as I mentioned before, it is their ethical obligation to ensure that the vehicle meets both the software and safety requirements for any autonomous vehicles to be sold in dealerships for people to invest in. LIDR, light detection and ranging, is one of the sensors used to collect road environment information that is then used for the autonomous vehicle's control. This specific sensor is needed to collect precise 3D information about surrounding road environments in order to help the vehicle drive itself, no matter the conditions. Yet in a study described by Ji-Yu Kim, Bumjin Park, and Ji-So Kim showed that the performance of the LIDR sensor was reduced in bad weather conditions. This study showed that in fog and snow, the performance of LIDR was reduced by 25%, and in rain, it was decreased by 30%. Another study showed that in rain, the detection of pedestrians was significantly reduced. The strength and the probability of the sensors lies in the hands of the engineers and manufacturers, which is exactly why they should be held accountable for any and all accidents their cars cause. According to an article by Christopher Kopp and Marcus Kellermeyer, states that owners would be liable for their vehicles, but only if the owner had sufficient information about the vehicle to know that it was dangerous, and thus demonstrated negligence in the vehicle's operation. The key phrase in this is "if only." It is the car manufacturer's obligation to clearly state all the possibilities when driving an autonomous vehicle. Just as any company would state the hazards of their car product, the engineer may very well claim that their autonomous vehicle is safe and their car was manufactured at the best of their ability, allowing the owner to feel safe. Except, in a TED-Ed by Patrick Lynn, it was stated that the software of self-driving cars is created in order to remove human error. So, if the vehicle is created to remove human error, how could it possibly be the human's fault, leaving it all in the hands of the engineer, which created the software to drive the car? In an article by Neil Tognazzini and Justin Coates state that cognitive theories of blame emphasize motivational elements like desires and intentions as essential to blame. This objects my stance because it is inferring that manufacturers and engineers can't be liable for any accidents involving their vehicles because their initial intention and desires were to create a safe vehicle in order for humans to go from destination to destination. Yet, in that article of Moral Responsibility and the Principal Alternative Possibilities by David Robb states that a person is morally responsible for what she has done only if she could have done otherwise. Now, this shows exactly why human drivers and the vehicle itself can be to blame. The owner and the vehicle can only be held responsible for an accident if they have the power to make another decision. The vehicle is fully autonomous, meaning the passengers have absolute zero input in the decision the vehicle makes, and the vehicle itself can't be to blame because it only follows the algorithm that the engineers have placed within the driving software, leaving the engineers the last group of individuals who should be held accountable for any accident. That was my case study on why engineers should be blamed for autonomous vehicle accidents. Thank you.